Sometimes, hardly ever, I feel like I wish that I was more sentimental about things. Like I wish that it doesn't really feel like anything to be done with a thing. I'm just sort of want to do the next thing better. That's been the prevailing feeling. A lot of this I'm trying to piece together how it felt a long time ago when I finished Rice Boy and Order of Tales, back when it was I had one big thing, finishing the Island books, because they were stacked with Vattu. It didn't feel as much like an end point, but yeah, I don't know. I have to talk myself into having an emotional reaction to something like this. It is exciting. I mean, it's exciting to see people excited to read it. Exciting to think of it as a finished thing. But then there's all these vertigo feelings of not really being the same person who I was when I started it, and it just encompassing this huge amount of time, and how I started with this idea that it was this. I started the comic with this approach that this is a concrete sort of cohesive object that I'm going to, make over whatever period of time. But then it becomes it can't not become very not that, I think. It's kind of disorienting. I don't have to have in my head now the just obsessive, at least performance of faith in it. I don't have to be blindly believing in it now. I can sort of begin to think about it differently and more with more clarity. Just I know kind of the outlines of the ways in which it sucks and the ways in which I failed, and the unevenness and the sort of laziness around certain aspects. I can see them. I've sort of either tried to compartmentalize that, or, well, I don't know, intellectualized my way away from feeling frustrated with that, I guess. That's a weird trick, to be involved in the thing in such a way where you can see the problems with it but still move forward with it. I don't know, and I'm okay with it. I mean, because I know what it's like to make a thing like this, I guess, and I like seeing imperfect work from other people. I like seeing a person's particular and compromised perspective and ability and work ethic or whatever applied to something. That's the appeal of doing something by oneself like that, to me, like this. To me, that is the appeal. Yeah, I don't know. I used to be so married to this idea of making a thing in a perfect and uncompromised way, and I still want to get better. I still intend to take this and move forward with it. But how do you move forward with anything? I don't know. You have to move forward with your whole brain open, I guess, and see how it's imperfect, but see the value in moving forward with it anyway. Something like that. It's funny, making a thing, and making a thing so outside of any sort of infrastructure like this. The infrastructures that Vattu is a part of are kind of holdovers from a less institutionalized internet, kind of. And there's this feeling of like, you know, I set up the parameters by which this thing would exist, and I tried to make it happen according to the goals and aesthetics that I chose to go for. And so it ends up just feeling like this thing that is kind of only significant in my head sometimes. I mean, it's surprising that people read it because I just made this thing according to how I could and wanted to make it, and so it's hard to imagine that it exists outside of that kind of. Part of this is it was a really weird experience trying to like go into a whole promo cycle with the end of this comic, like trying to just sending out enormous numbers of press releases and just realizing that I don't know how to write one of those. I'm not clued into this or that little infrastructure, and it's very different than it was several years ago. And the scene in which I'm making this thing is just feels like vanishingly small. There's no real media that talks about it. This little it just doesn't it's wild how tiny it looks when it's like my entire intellectual life is making this stuff and thinking about this stuff and working in this medium. Some of the currently biggest and loudest and most expensive bits of pop culture proceed out of the same medium, but the medium itself is like, I don't know, is it just functionally dead or obsolete or something? I don't know. I guess, comics has always been, it feels like it's always been kind of like volatile and about to go extinct. It's not really that old as a form, as we think of it. All right, so I just went through and listened through and edited that last chunk of audio that ended just seconds ago. I recorded all of that, I believe, when I was walking around immediately after coloring, that is, finishing the last page of this book. That last chunk feels a little like solipsistic. Of course, I'm not just doing this in a vacuum. Yeah, I can set, I set up the way that I wanted to do it, and I accomplished it according to some version of the way that I set myself up to do it. But it can only fucking exist because people read it, and because I have built a so-called career out of this stuff, and that's not a thing. That's not me. That's an audience. That's the engagement of my stuff with like a readership. That's, I don't know. I'm just like, it's kind of a big, unusual project to be, started and finished. But that's not so much because like I did it and I should be proud of myself for doing it. It's that I got into it in this moment and it connected with people in a way that happened to make it feasible to keep doing it until it was done. Not a lot of times in the history of this medium, I feel like, has there been space for self-publishing like this, or like doing big, weird, indulgent things like that. And that's not so much because of the like vision and commitment of the artist doing it. It's because of the spaces that are available and the means of connecting to an audience that gets what is being done. I have been emailing incessantly today with Jeffrey Rowland of Topatico, trying to nail down everything for this Kickstarter, well, pseudo Kickstarter run by Topatico for the fourth and final print book of Vattu, and I'm tremendously grateful that he is accommodating my ridiculous self-imposed deadline of it all has to happen on the 12th. I haven't really been able to like stop. I mean, I haven't really been able to like be done with this thing. I am looking forward to having some sort of like clean break at some point in the future, but it's been a lot of administration work and a lot of sort of untethered feeling. But you know, a big part of like how this is materially possible, as I was saying, is that like I'm not really self-publishing. I mean, I have like all these people and infrastructure that have been um, extremely gracious and helpful in making the books happen. You know, and I don't know. I love it. It's a relief. It's exciting. I'm gonna be sick of thinking and talking about Vattu and working on it pretty soon. The prevailing feeling is just sort of like running on empty, kind of burnt out almost. But I'm excited about not being constrained by it, and I'm excited about moving forward in some way where I'm jumping off of it but not beholden to it. Not an extremely momentous ending to the video essay project, but you know, it's not a really dramatic process, I guess. You work on the thing, and it's very quiet and kind of isolating and in way more ways than you can expect. And you become a very weird person over the course of working on it for 12 years. And then it's done, and it's extremely exciting to hear from people about it, but it's still very quiet. And it's hard not to keep in mind that it's not really that big of a, you know, it just it isn't that much space that you're taking up, and that it's not that loud of a thing, but but I am happy with it. And I appreciate I appreciate you being here. That's all. Bye.